Welcome to the Equipping the Saints radio talk show, an informational talk show with you in mind. So prepare your hearts and your minds to be empowered, encouraged, and equipped through today's broadcast, Equipping the Saints.
And God bless you. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the Equipping the Saints radio talk show. This is your host, Apostle Marcus Beckton, and truly we're honored and pleased to have you tuning in with us on today's broadcast. Today I come to you with a very, very serious topic of a discussion that we're going to be talking about today, and that is the topic of sexual assault. And I'm very honored and very pleased to have sitting with me today several people who is involved in a very special group and organization, or team rather, that is helping here in our community and county to address this issue and this problem that's taking place really worldwide, but they're helping here in Sampson County, and it's called the Sampson County Sexual Assault Resource Team. And I'm so honored and pleased to have with us today, and there's several organizations that's in representation that makes up this organization. And so today we're so honored to have Mr. Eric Pope. He is from the Sampson County Sheriff's Department. Reverend Elwood McPhail. He is representing Ucare Domestic Violence Shelter. Miss Elaine Hunt. She is our city clerk and representing the city of Clinton. And Mr. Anthony Davis, he is with the Clinton Police Department. So welcome, guys, to the Equipping the Saints radio talk show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right. Again, our topic that that I mentioned a few moments ago is the topic of sexual assault. And so right off bat, we're going to, first of all, let's define exactly what is considered as sexual assault.
When you look at the concept of sexual assault, there you have what many people perceive in their mind as a definition of sexual assault, and then you have what North Carolina general statutes would consider sexual assault. Mm-hmm. Touching of genitalia, forced sexual acts, things of those nature are the things that we immediately come to. I'm going to defer to my friend Anthony to kind of give you a textbook definition of sexual assault in this kind of a nutshell version.
When you look at sexual assault, it's a blanket umbrella term that describes any form of unwanted physical sexual contact, including touching of the breast, the buttocks, the vagina, penis, anus, in which consent is not given. And also including that, it should be very clear that rape is not a part of that sexual content.
In North Carolina, just to kind of give you an example of where you think law comes in, the definition of rape is a woman can be raped by definition. A man can only be sexually assaulted. Okay. So when you hear of a man being raped, in reality, of a generic term, yes, you could say that. But from the legal standpoint, a man would be sexually assaulted and a woman could be raped, because a rape is technically, by statute, the forced vaginal, and that's where it kind of strays off course when you start talking about the sexual assault of a man. And it just happens to be the way that the laws are written.
That's amazing. That clears up. I wasn't aware of that. That's didn't want to add into that, or
well, the rape is doing something without the consent of a female or male, but our concern is to stop it no matter what the sexual orientation or whatever the age, any sexual contact without the consent of the other party in our business is considered rape.
Okay. Now, how often does this occur? I think you have some stats. How often does this sexual assaults occur?
Well, nationally, it's been said that a woman in her lifetime is 1 out of 5 have been sexually assaulted or raped in their lifetime. So that by itself, if you can just think of how many people that's in this county, is awe-inspiring. I mean, it just boggles your mind of what's really going on. But the real problem is we know it's happening, but to get those individuals who've been sexually assaulted to come forward. And that is the mountain that we're trying to climb.
Is there a reason, and I know this is not a part of the questions, but is there a reason that you feel, Reverend McPhail, why people don't report it when they know that they've been sexually assaulted? Are there reasons why you feel that they've not come forward, or is it for fear, or
all of the above?
Okay.
We've taught our clients very well. We taught the ladies that if you come forward, you're going to be the one that's going to be treated as if you're guilty. And the acceptance of the community. You're going to mess up the family name. The person that did it was in the family or a next door neighbor, and we don't want to be cause the problems. Or it may be in a family member, and a lot of times that's the case. So a lot of emotional reasons would keep that individual from not wanting to cause the problem. But the biggest problem barrier would be that person is totally afraid to come forth because they're going to be treated as if they was the one that caused the problem, not him. He was enjoying himself and thought they could do anything that he wanted, and she did not want it, but she suffered the consequences. So all those negativism that's placed on the victim is a lot of barriers that why would a person put themselves through this?
If I could add to that, you need to look at a lot of generational issues as well. When you start looking back in your older population, sex has always been a very taboo subject. And now in today's society, everything seems very public. And no matter what you do to try to keep things in a private arena, it always seems to end up in the public arena. And the victimization, as Reverend McPhail said, you take into account where you've had news organizations, where you've had a crime to occur, and the law enforcement agencies won't comment on the specifics of it, but then they'll turn around and do public records requests to get copies of information, and that person's information gets out in public, and that creates a stigma. And a lot of people don't want their business because you take the nature of the crime. It is a very personal attack on that individual. And here you are asking them to come out into the public to put everything out there. And they should not be embarrassed. They should, they are the victim, but the natural feelings that are associated within them around this are very hard to overcome. So it will continue to be a problem. You always have people down the road that are going to continue to have that, and we have to find new ways to overcome it.
That's true.
Let me say this. I have heard some say because of the way the female may dress, that they, in so many words, they was asking for it, they deserve it. But regardless of what someone wears or where they go, no one deserves to be sexual assaulted or raped.
That's true, and I'm glad you brought Ms. Hunt. I'm glad you brought that statement up, because that I've heard that as well, and it's almost as if they deserve it, as you said, and they don't. They don't. Females do not deserve that. Now, you guys represent, as I forestated earlier, you represent this resource team, and you have an acronym for that. What is the acronym again?
It's SCSART. It stands for Sampson County Sexual Assault Response or Resource Team. And we've been together for about 3 years now. And it's our mission is basically to change the attitudes of the community so that the community becomes supportive of the victims. And the other portion is to respond if there is a rape, to respond in a way that is going to get that person, that perpetrator who sexually assaulted, to bring him to justice, and so that we can put him away, that he don't do this to other individuals. But to be supportive of that victim throughout that process.
Okay. So in other words, you guys are not just informational as far as getting, that's only a part of what you do as far as getting information out, but you're actually there for the victim.
Yes.
Is that what I'm understanding?
There are core agencies in a SART team, which would be law enforcement. You have the SANE nurses, which are sexual assault nurse examiners. That's the individuals that actually at the hospital take all the evidence to turn over to the law enforcement. You have the advocate, which in Sampson County would be Ucare. Then there is the DA, and all this is really there trying to support the DA's effort to bring that person to justice. So far we're there.
Okay. So this is a large operation, and which is a team effort. Really, what you guys are doing is a collaboration of the whole. It appears the whole legal system, as well as the support system from Ucare, as well as the medical side, as you were saying as well.
Yeah, I'd like to add that we're talking about the core agencies there to have a SART team, but then you have the other agencies that we bring to the table. We have Sampson Community College, so the college in the area, the city schools, the county schools. We have representation from them. 911 for responding to a call. What other agencies are missing?
Mental health services.
Mental health, DSS. We all part of that effort. And then we got civilians that volunteer and come in who want to make a difference. Okay. And so it's a large agency for those that's represented on it, but getting everyone together and training so that if there is a sexual assault, we're working collaboratively to support that victim. Okay. But hopefully the other side is to try to prevent a sexual assault from happening.
That's good.
Totally.
That's good. Yes, Ms.
And I would also like to commend the Clinton City Council and the Sampson County Board of Commissioners, because just recently at their meetings, they adopted resolutions in support of eliminating sexual assault within Sampson County, which was brought to them by this team.
Awesome. Now, I know that the statistics are low and here in Sampson County, and which I guess in a sense is somewhat a good thing, even though you kind of know that, that there's a possibility that this is going on, but it is a good thing that with you guys being in existence for the period of time, these 3 years, and working diligently with all the different agencies that you've got working, coming together to really bring this awareness and to really help, someone, if this happens, to help them walk through. Now, how did this, what drove 3 years ago, or probably more than 3 years ago, what drove this coming together? What or who spearheaded this, or what was anything that transpired that made the talk begin to let this happen, or how did this come into existence, this resource team?
We have attempted a number of years in times past to start a sexual assault response team type effort, and each time it was tried, it kind of went away and it wasn't quite there. We always had a team dealing with domestic violence, and it worked well. We collaborated with each other, so that went well. But we needed something to focus totally on sexual assault. So NCCASA, which is North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault, came up with a grant coming from VAWA, which at the national level. They gave a grant to them, and then they start reaching out for different counties to they're funding individual to be there and tried to help put the organization together. And thereby all the training, and there's a designated individuals at the state level that's actually looking over these teams. So initially, I think there were like 15 teams that was part of the grant. And so I was one of those individuals that was selected to be the coordinator. And as a result of that, that was my total job at Ucare, was to try to put this team together and do the things necessary to get us up off the platform and move forward. So that was about 3 years ago, and during that process is when we initially invited the core units, law enforcement, the DA, DSS, those individuals who were directly responding to crisis situation when a person was sexually assaulted. So that's how we really got started. And since that time, we spent a lot of time training each other, understanding what they do on each side of the table, and how we can work together, and how, of course, I always do more with less. So if we collaborate with our efforts, the concern or the goal was to depend on each other so that we can do more now. Now we know who to talk to and coordinate with, and actually get a lot of things done.
Awesome. That's very good. Now, my last question, and then we're going to wrap things up unless you guys have some more to add to it. A person has experienced an assault, or feel that they've experienced an assault. What is their next step? What do they need to do whenever they feel that they have experienced an assault? What is the next step in this process?
The first thing they do is make contact with 911. Contact 911. In time, an officer is going to respond. If medical assistance is required, it will be sent as well. The officer will begin the initial investigation. The nurses who are trained at the hospital will assist with the gathering of the evidence. One thing to keep in mind, the quicker you notify law enforcement after an assault, the more chances of success we have in conviction. And the reason why I say that is, a victim who waits several days to contact, you've got your evidence is going to be destroyed. Anything the evidence that would be used to corroborate any claim would be destroyed. So the quicker that we get law enforcement involved and that we can preserve evidence to sustain the allegations, the better we can carry through in court. And also to go ahead and start the process of coordinating resources through Ucare and the sexual assault response team. They're going to be the ones we reach out to. We're going to take care of the legal aspect, and the SART is going to take over the holistic aspect.
Okay.
They're going to assist the person mentally, physically, and in some cases point them towards resources to get additional financial resources if they need to in dealing with the situation. There's just a lot of things that the quicker you get the quicker you get us involved, the better your chances and the better the victim's chances.
Okay. Awesome.
A lot of times it's not necessarily it's a rape that just happened. If one just happened, Captain Boat just drew that line of where we need to go and what you need to do. But sometimes is I was raped a month ago, and I just got the courage to come forward. So that notification could be there at DSS. It could be at the talking to a pastor. In school with a guidance counselor or a teacher. So wherever that individual is notifying, we're trying to get in community and to try to explain to everyone that it's our responsibility to come to the aid of the person and to believe the individual. And as a result of that, all the assistance that the team had put together to help that victim, to make that victim feel like the system is there to support them, comes to bear. And so no matter where you are, no matter how long it was that the sexual assault or the rape took place, you may not have immediate evidence, but if you want help, no matter what phase of help you want, we're there to try to support that victim, to support their families, to change the attitudes of the community so that but it is not the scarlet letter that's on my chest, and I'm walking around and I feel ashamed of myself. But we want the community to be supportive of the victim and wrap our arm around them, and so that I'm going to take this all the way and get this individual off the street and hopefully spending time in prison instead of raping our wives and our children and sometimes men also.
Very, very good. Real quick, and we're getting ready to wrap it up. Sexual assault. I know everything has limitations. Is there a statute of limitation that so if a person have been assaulted years ago?
There is not. Now we go back just a minute. You're talking about the children and the school-age kids. We've seen early teenage years and in the early 20s that even going to parties and if they're involved in using alcohol and illicit drugs and different things, maybe they would wake up the next morning and were involved in some of that, the drugs and illicit drugs or alcohol, and had what they thought was consensual sex that night, and they wake up the next day and be like, I don't know what I did last night. If they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, there have been laws that say that they cannot give consent. So certainly come forward and tell the school resource officer, if they're involved in that. We've been talking in the schools about that topic in general, and it's helped. School-age kids come forward and they wouldn't want to tell their mom or dad or something. They may approach the school resource officer and let them know what's going on.
We do have handouts that we have created. If anyone would like to get some, if they can contact one of us or one of the members of the team, we're glad to get them to the churches or get them to individuals.
Okay, so you have printed information.
We have a hotline.
I was just going to say, give some information, numbers or whatever that people can make contact with you.
They can call us at 910-596-0931. There's always going to be someone at that line. If you're in a situation you just want to talk about the event, of course 911 is the crisis that is the place you want to call if you just got raped and you want help. But if you want to get someone to come and talk to your agency or talk to your church members or civic groups, we're there to come and talk and discuss and hopefully make sexual assault something that was something in the past. We want all those victims of sexual assault to know that in Sampson County we're going to be there.
Okay. All right. Well, we certainly do appreciate it. Our time has come to an end on today. We thank you so much, Ms. Elaine Hunt with City of Clinton, and Reverend Elwood McPhail with Ucare, and Mr. Anthony Davis with the Clinton Police Department, and Mr. Eric Pope with Sampson County Sheriff Department. And these are just a few that make up this wonderful resource team here in Sampson County dealing with the topic or the area of sexual assault. And please reach out to them if you need some help and feel that this meets or you've been experiencing that. Please reach out to them and get the necessary help that you need. We appreciate it again to the listening. Or thank you guys, first of all, for taking out of your time and being with us on today. We certainly do appreciate it. Thank you to the listening audience, and we appreciate you tuning in with us on today's broadcast. And until the next time, consider yourself have been equipped. God bless you.